I do want to welcome you once again as a good friend and a mentor to me. And I am learning this country, and I'm learning to love this country from you. And also when I have a question, which I don't know, and many of my friends don't know, and I want to tell you something from the bottom of my heart. I am really shocked and stunned. I'm really sorry, but I am deeply stunned. It's not America, I know. I am stunned not only by the murders of police officers and lootings, which I personally condemn, and I think that people have to have the right to defend themselves. My people, as I said to you last time, are scared. But besides that, what really makes me confused, let's say, use this word. I think the government, the mayor of New York, have the responsibility to protect life and property. That's why we elected them. That's what we expect from the government. And as you know, we Jews always, from the Talmudical times, from Pirkei Avot, pray for the peace of the government wherever we live, because we know if not for the government, people will swallow each other alive. That's what Talmud says. We see it happening right now. I am stunned by helplessness. I don't know why, of the administration here in New York City for last days and days. But more so, I'm completely stunned by a few hours ago announcement of Mayor of New York, Blasio, who I know personally well. I interviewed him myself. I know him well personally. And I cannot imagine a statement at this point when our police officers protecting the lives and property and their lives in danger, they may be killed. And someone is making an announcement to put them down and say, we're going to take funding from you. It's not about taking money. If you want to give money to youth and prevent crime instead of putting more police officers on the streets, that should be an intelligent discussion. But right now, I think it's an incitement and directing anger at police officers, which to my humble opinion, may even endanger their lives.
Well, I think you say it so well, Aryeh. And again, I want you to articulate this because you did it very well. What do you think is behind an American mayor? What is behind an American mayor's saying that he wants to cut funding for the police? And by the way, there are Jewish heads of city councils. The city council of Minneapolis, where all this started, is a Jewish woman. She does not say she's going to cut funding for the police. She's going to say, she says, she's going to shut the police down. No more police. No more police, Aryeh. So I want to hear you say, and then I'll comment on it. Wait a minute. I want to frame the question for you. On the one hand, we have seen rioting in the streets. We have seen destruction of property. We have seen police cars burned to shreds. We've seen buildings burned down. Worst of all, we've seen people assaulted and beaten up, and we've seen policemen shot to death. Injured, many policemen have been injured, but they've also been shot to death. And it seems as if city officials are permitting it to go on, and city officials are now making these, what I consider to be, and you consider ludicrous, counterproductive statements that they're either going to cut funding. Los Angeles has said it's going to cut trillions of dollars from the funding of police in Los Angeles. That's what the mayor of Los Angeles has said. So I want to know what you think is behind a city council woman in Minneapolis who happens to be a Jew saying she's going to end the police, And what's behind the mayor of New York City saying he's going to defund, meaning take funding away from the police? Why do you think, and why have these same people permitted for any length of time the vandalism and the rioting, not the protesting? And by the way, I'm tired of it. You and I both understand. I believe everybody who is watching you on Facebook right now, horrified by what happened to George Floyd. There's no issue in America over that. It is reprehensible, and all of us want the men punished, both the offending policeman and the 3 other cops who were right there and participated, did nothing to stop it, and actually held Floyd down. All 4 of them should receive harsh, harsh punishments. Nobody disagrees. It's not an issue that's worth even mentioning. Nobody disagrees that Americans have a First Amendment right to protest peacefully for anything they believe in. But the violence permitted by city officials and then city officials like de Blasio says he's going to defund the police. I want to know what Rabbi Aryeh Katzin believes is motivating these politicians, including, but not limited to, including Bill de Blasio.
Well, I really would love you to answer that question.
I will.
I'm going to tell you from my very limited background.
You have, by the way, you do not have a limit. You know, I hope the audience understands. When you say that, you are talking only about how long have you been involved in America, and you've been involved now for decades. You know, you didn't arrive by plane yesterday. Decades you've been leading a strong, vibrant element in the American Russian community in the biggest city in the world. Okay, so it's not like you don't know anything.
So speaking,
but I want to hear what you say, because I think you and I agree.
Okay, we may disagree, but I'll tell you, if you're asking me, I'll tell you, I think I want to make 3 comments, 3 sentences, just hints, not to take time from you. Number 1, I think appeasement. And appeasement of evil sometimes is also appeasement. And some people that really want, instead of leading and being courageous and stopping violence, they want to be with those who they believe they are voters. And if the voters are angry, they not only not stopping them, but actually they bring more fuel to the fire to be elected next time. 1. Number 2, I think the common hatred for Donald Trump. And whoever is Antifa, whoever is behind this whole movement to bring down the right-wing Republican president, that is fueling the same riots that we've witnessed when actually Trump was just elected. I think we have a second coming, so to speak, on that. And lastly, I think, but still important, I think I'm speaking now on behalf of my community. We strongly condemn police violence. We strongly condemn murder of or death or causing death to an unarmed African-American person.
We have this on tape. It's recorded. Just like you and I are on Facebook now. This has been recorded. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It's interesting. I heard somebody say that in a court of law, all the prosecutor has to say to the jury is, I want you to close your eyes and say nothing for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. See how long that is. Because we have evidence. That's how long this policeman kept his knee on the neck of a human being, while the passers-by begged him to stop, while the man on the ground begged him begged him to stop, while the three policemen who were holding him down with his legs kept saying to him, "Don't you think we should turn him over?" And he kept saying no. And by the way, I would say the same thing if it were done to a Jew.
Of course.
And I
Of
would say the
course.
same thing if we had had phones to take pictures of what Nazis did to Jews. In a trial, it may turn out, and again, I'm not defending him, but what if the man is a real psychopath, is a really disturbed human being, mentally disturbed, not just mean, but it turns out the guy is crazy. That's a different punishment than it would be if the guy went out and tried to kill somebody. By the way, from my perspective, Aryeh, 8 minutes and 46 seconds, that's first degree premeditated murder. This is not manslaughter, which is where it started out to be. This is not third degree murder. This is first degree murder, premeditated manslaughter, and the other three cops should get some kind of contributing factor to this. I don't know enough to know legally what it should be called. I also, when you use the word police violence, I'm assuming you also are meaning the phrase in English, police brutality, that you are against police exercising a brutal force against the civilian population. That
Absolutely.
A policeman has an absolute responsibility to treat the person he's dealing with, whoever it is, with as little force necessary, but you and I would also say as much force is necessary. And you come from a different culture. I don't know how the police acted in the former Soviet Union, but police are police. And police ultimately learn that you don't take any guff from anybody, because the next thing you know, you're dead. So police tend to overreact. Police tend to overreact. And maybe what we want very much to come out of this is a sense of better police training, a longer police training and better police training that cannot hurt, that can only help everyone.
A better screening, possibly as well.
Yes.
To prevent bad cops.
Absolutely. So there we agree. As far as Trump is concerned, I think you're on to something. I think that we're in a culture right now where everything is blamed on Trump. I don't think this is about Trump. I would mention that there were many black kids killed by policemen during the time of Barack Obama. Nobody went into the streets and protested, but it wasn't in the midst of, 10 weeks, 12 weeks of everybody being confined to their homes because of the coronavirus. So as somebody once said to me, it's a perfect storm. Everything came together, and the next thing you know, people were rioting in the streets. Then you talked about the number one reason, and here I think is you were the most accurate. There is theory and there is real life. And there's always a judgment about how one brings theory into real life. In theory, you and I are committed 1,000%. We are committed against acts of violence. And if people want to protest, they can protest. They cannot engage in acts of violence. And I am with those who say, at the first act of violence, city officials should stop the protest. Everybody goes home. Now, when I say everybody goes home, I don't want peaceful protesters to lose their right to protest because there are people who engage in violence. But if violence takes over, then the imposition of curfews, which is what we've seen in New York, in Los Angeles, in cities across the country, are all appropriate. Curfews mean even the peaceful protesters are not allowed out in the streets. in theory, government should stop violence the moment it starts. In this particular case, two things happened that get in the way of theory. One, most cities didn't see it coming. They were not prepared. They did not have the necessary police force or National Guard or even military forces from the federal government, the adequate force to stop the rioting. And as a result, if they tried to do it, they would have been overrun. And that doesn't help anybody. It serves no purpose for the government to say it's going to stop something and can't. If it says it, it has to be able to do it. It took the government a certain number of days to put in place the proper police authorities. In addition, there was a cultural mood. The cultural mood was, it's all the brutal police force problem. If it wasn't for this horrible police, everything would be wonderful. If the government, therefore, uses that very moment for police power, it feeds into a narrative that is counterproductive for society. It makes it look like the protesters are right. We're protesting police brutality, and now look at all these police brutality all around us, in the headgear and the batons and the mace and the rubber bullets. You see how they overreact. Now, they weren't overreacting, but there was an appearance. And you and I know sometimes appearance and perception is more important even than reality. So responsible governments were caught in a vice. They weren't prepared, and at the same time, they had to figure out how they could position themselves to say, we are not acting brutally. We are only trying to impose a meaningful curfew that makes sense to everyone, and we are stopping violence. It took days for that to be in place. And sadly, I would argue, there are still those who consider themselves to be liberal, progressive protesters who still blame the police just for trying to protect them and the property that belongs very often to minority communities. Their African American businesses are being destroyed, and some Jewish businesses are being destroyed. And the police have, as you say so eloquently, a responsibility to stop it. But the cities were, public opinion is the most powerful force of all. And city officials, state officials, federal officials, Russian officials, they all fear, ultimately, the power of the public voice. And therefore, the public voice here got ahead of civility. The public voice got ahead. And most of that public voice was noble and righteous and was protesting something worthy of protest. And in the same time, there were many who were using this as an opportunity for a different agenda, having nothing to do with George Floyd. There are people, Aryeh, who believe America is a corrupt, hateful, social experiment. They want America to be torn down. They want capitalism to be torn down. They want wealthy people to be torn down, very much like what, if any of your audience, and I know most of your audience is very schooled in history. If you know the history of the French Revolution, you know it was started by the people, and the people became animals, and they murdered, and they ended up murdering each other and destroying everything. I know your people know the Russian Revolution, a very different revolution than the French Revolution, but it was idealistic. The people who started the Russian Revolution believed that they were making people freer and that there would be a more utopian world where there wouldn't be rich and poor. Now, it turned out there is no such world. And the next thing you knew, even within the communism that evolved first under Stalin and then right through till the day the Berlin Wall fell down, the Soviet Union ultimately had the same kind of corruption, if not worse, than capitalist countries. And there were there were oligarchs, wealthy people. And the people in government were stealing and were living a very good life, while most of the Russian people were living in cold, dark, gray apartments. That's what happens when revolution goes wild in the streets, and the public thinks it can tear down society. There are those right now who want to tear down society and who want to say, not, there was a bad cop in Minneapolis. Yes, there was. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying the police department, the police system is intrinsically and completely corrupt and violent. And they want to tear it down. Why do they want to tear it down? They want to tear it down because they understand. You tear down the police departments of any culture, you're destroying law and order. And when you destroy law and order, the people with the most guns in the street take over. Sadly, and I don't know that this is about to happen in America. We should all pray it doesn't happen. If it ever happens, that America becomes like the French Revolution, like what we've seen in South American countries, where revolution is about who has the most guns in the street, American society is over. The greatest single experiment in social justice, in opportunity for everyone, where anybody has the opportunity with hard work to make a better life for themselves. By the way, that's true today as it was true when my grandparents came to America and when the first immigrant from the former Soviet Union stepped foot on this soil. And it's true of people who are part of the Russian immigrant community to this day. People who are sterling examples of the American dream. America is not a perfect country. You know why? There is no such thing as perfect people. America is simply the best we've got thus far, and we're the luckiest ever. And you and I care enormously about Jews, the Jewish people, and the state of Israel. The Jewish people have never, ever, in the history of the Jewish people, in the 3,000-4,000 year history of the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, there has never, ever once been a culture that has allowed Jews to thrive like this, including moments of Eretz Yisrael. And as wonderful as you and I know Israel is a different experiment. It's not the American experiment. It's good to be a Jew in Israel. And it's hard to be a Jew in Israel. It's good to be a Jew in America. And as a diaspora country, there has never been anything like this in the 4,000-year history of the Jewish people. Okay. And you and I understand, if law and order breaks down, they come first for the Jews, inevitably. We will be among those who are targeted by the mob. The mob, not the American people. The American people are not racist. The American people are not anti-Semites. The mob is both. There are pockets of racism still in America, and they have to be dealt with seriously. And kol hakavod, all honor to the peaceful protesters who are motivated by that goal to make America more sensitive to the pockets of racism in the police department and in American society. And it's worse in the police department, Aryeh, because of the power a bad cop has over innocent Americans. But America as a whole is not racist, is not anti-Semitic, and the mob at the moment, which is taking over, for them, they want to destroy everything in their way, and that includes Jews. And that finally brings me to your most important point. Bill de Blasio and every other American governmental official who suddenly is on the progressive bandwagon saying the police are so bad, they should either be defunded or disbanded. No more police. You are right. You use the word appease. I know what you meant by appease, but you defined it even better after the word appeased. They are scared to death that they will lose their power because their supporters will be angry at them for not supporting their own agenda. And politicians, by and large, Republican and Democrat, they're all frightened, feckless, spineless. I'm struggling to find a great word.
Followers instead of leaders.
No, not enough. Not enough. Not strong enough. You know, it's the opposite of brave. They're cowards. They do not have the moral core inside them to say, I will stand up for what I know is right, even if it means you vote against me. You know what? Vote against me. And I believe, ironically, Bill de Blasio and everyone else, were he to say to America, I'm sorry, America, I'm standing up for what I believe in. And what I believe in is law and order, the rule of law, the sanctified pillar of American society, the rule of law. Don't you ever ask me to support you if what you want is the undermining and the elimination of the rule of law. And for me, and I'm telling you this and your audience, this is a painful truth I want to share with you. The painful truth is, I have wonderful, dear friends whom I love dearly, and they have been seduced. Seduced. You know the word seduce, Aryeh? What's the word seduce in Russian?
Well, another way seduced to say kind of poisoned.
I want it in Russian.
Seduced. It's a good question.
It means you are sucked in, you're tricked.
Yeah, seduced. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Well, in other words, someone gave you the something that you were manipulated. Let's say another
That
word.
is
They're
correct.
manipulated.
Yes.
They're brainwashed
Yes.
in a very sweet and
wait,
pleasant way.
Aryeh,
Conditioned, someone says to
is
us.
there a word for this in Russian or no?
Probably. I just, I
Fair
need
enough.
to,
Okay.
right, right.
In English, we say people drink the Kool-Aid. That's
To
because they're
seduce a woman. You're actually seducing a woman. Am I right?
Yes.
It's a very sweet way.
Yes.
Not KGB tactics or Gestapo tactics.
Right. By the way, the KGB seduces also. But seducing a woman in English is the way the word seduce is used most. You trick a woman by making her think, oh, you love her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my friends.
Beautiful. Sablaznat. Beautiful. People help me. Sablaznat. There is a beautiful word in English, actually. I want to thank our viewers. Sablaznat. It's exactly to seduce a woman. You just trick a woman and the rest is history.
So you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. Of course.
Okay. My friends have been sablat. They've been seduced into thinking that they should be in favor of ending the rule of law. And by the way, in part, because they hate Donald Trump, which is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. You want to hate Donald Trump? Hate Donald Trump. Don't sacrifice American society and the rule of law because you don't like the president. It's insane. Aryeh, good, lovely people have gone insane right now. And in part it's because there are good people who've seen injustice. And this George Floyd is only a symbol of something much larger that is in fact happening all over America, not nearly as often as they want to make us think, but it shouldn't happen at all. And so part of what is motivating the righteous, noble protester is an effort to change American mentality and American practice and American political leadership. All of that is noble, but you don't do it by tearing down the America that has made every single thing possible for all of us. And that includes you and everyone who's watching you on Facebook right now.
So people actually commenting and saying that you're saying the truth and needs to go viral.
Thank you. By the way, if somebody's, you make me feel, whoever has said that to you,
right?
Show, spasibo bolshoye. You make me feel. If you say that,
yes,
you make me feel wonderful.
Well, I have to only say that my question for you is not just whose fault is that, which is usual Russian question. We say that's not the Russian question, whose fault it is. What do we do? What do I do? What do I do as a society? Of course, I condemn evil doers or police officers when they commit crime. It goes without saying. Of course, I as a Jew stand for equality and I protect the rights of every human being, of course. But at the same time, our country may turn into Venezuela unless you and me voice our opinions.
Well, I go on JBS all the time. And I know I'm taking a little bit of a risk, but I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if nobody watches JBS. And I hope your audience knows JBS is the Jewish Broadcasting Service. The reason I am no longer at RTN, the Russian Television Network of America, is I am now producing the first Jewish channel, national Jewish channel, that is a cultural channel that cares about education, very pro-Israel, and that it celebrates all things Jewish. There's never been a channel like that. I was lucky in life with Michael Provin. I created the first Russian language channel ever in the United States of America. And then I created later on the first Jewish channel of its kind, which is now called JBS, the Jewish Broadcasting Service. And if you live If you have Optimum, you can watch it on channel 138. If you have Verizon Fios, you can watch it on 798. If you have DirecTV, you can watch it on channel 388. If you go online, you can watch it on jbstv.org, our website. You can watch the live channel.
You know, I want to
You
take
can watch, by the way, my two fabulous interviews of Aryeh Katzin, which I run. We just ran, by the way, ran my interview with Kuznetsov. No, Kuznetsov runs tomorrow.
Edward.
No, his daughter.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
I am running my interview with Kuznetsov's daughter tomorrow night, 9:00 Eastern Time on JBS.
Breaking down the Iron Curtain and actually fighting for the right
Yes.
of Russian Jews to immigrate.
Yes. Anyway, I'm inviting any of your viewers, any of you who are watching Facebook, if you know English, you care about Jewish, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. You just go to JBS.
You know, the next comment, yes, JBS is great. And I want to tell you from my perspective, I remember I went to a very Orthodox synagogue, a real shul, people with black heads that I think don't have, I thought they don't have TVs. And suddenly people turn to me and say, oh, Rabbi Golub interviewed you. I looked at them and I said, what are you talking about? Are you watching JBS? I was very surprised how many people spoke to me from the community. So I think I have to give you the art because you're able to unite the American Jewish community of all kinds under your leadership. I think that is absolutely amazing. And we're so privileged to be with you today. And we do need a direction. So
anyway, what I said to you was, what you are correct. I have decided I will speak out on JBS, and if it makes people angry, then they'll just have to. They don't have to watch. But you and I, we have a position of leadership, and we have a responsibility. And our message, Aryeh, has to be very clear. Our message is should never be seen as if we are saying people shouldn't protest. We are never saying that we condone any kind of police brutality. To the contrary, to the opposite, we condemn police brutality. We condemn racism. And by the way, racism is a part of human nature. The Jewish tradition is very smart, Aryeh. It says a person is never held responsible for anything he thinks or feels or dreams. You're never held, you wake up in the morning and you had a very ugly dream, don't worry about it. You're never held responsible for anything you dream or wish. You're only held responsible for what you do. You have racist feelings, doesn't matter. You can't act on any racist feelings. You can't ever ask social policy to, in some way, discriminate or persecute or take advantage of or block the path of another people because of their race or their national origin or their sexual preference, anything. So you and I are against racism. You can't be a Jew and a racist. You can't. You can't be a Jew and a racist. If you're a racist, you're not a good Jew. So that's what you and I are for. But we are also, you and I stand for the rule of law, the absolute abhorrence of violence, and then you and I stand for the constant evolution of America, not revolution, evolution. We want this country to get better and better, and we will not be patient with injustice in America. Americans cannot be patient with injustice. We must be impatient with injustice. We must demand things change. For many people, that means, for many people, walking peacefully in the street when there's a peaceful rally. It also means speaking to friends. It means when one is in a social situation and when one hears one say something that one knows is destructive rather than building, constructive, that you don't stay quiet, even if it's a friend, that one speaks out gently but forcefully. And if necessary, one lets their representatives on the city, state, national level know what they feel, what they think, and what they hope for. More, maybe, what they demand of their leadership. I will say one last thing, and this may be the hardest. By the way, it's not the hardest for all of the people who are watching. It's the hardest for people like me. It's hardest for my friends. You have to decide what you want to do with your vote. I refuse now to vote for a party or a people that are destroying America. I refuse to vote for a party or a people who are anti-Semitic and anti-Israel and want to weaken the relationship between America and Israel. I will not vote for a party that believes that in some way it's okay to support Palestinian violence against Jews. And the reason why it's a problem is it's not clear what happens to somebody who was a lifetime Democrat and who doesn't like Trump. Where do you go? That's the plight of many thoughtful, committed American Jews who care about the future of Israel and the future of the United States of America. Where do we go to find a leader today who represents the values that you and I share, Aryeh? Where do we go? Because it's not clear to me that they exist any longer in the Democratic Party, and it's not clear to me where they exist in the Republican Party. That's a huge dilemma. And I don't know yet how we are going to navigate that problem.
I want to thank you tremendously for your comments. And I am really speechless because I understand how much courage and leadership you had to exercise right now by making that amazing statement. I really, really appreciate it, and I share it. I can also say at the time of polarization, my dream would be, together with you, I'm leading a youth organization, which, young people, second generation Americans. I would love to extend my hand and help the African American youth. I am sure that many of my people would tutor, would mentor, would do social service, will go to hospitals and visit the sick. We would love to be more involved and build bridges. Yeah. And at the same time, I would love, together with them and their leaders, to stand against destruction of property and life.
Aryeh, my world is television, and you have developed this incredible strength through social media, and you're able to go on Facebook Live and people watch, and they even give you ideas for what Russian word means. Is this word, to seduce? I have no idea how many people have watched this. I don't care how many people have watched this. What I do care is, and I'm asking you to do this, I want you to post my email address.
I will.
And I want any of the people who either are watching now or who know me from before, who might want to be in touch with me, I want you to give them my email address. I will say it out loud, but Aryeh, you will post it. It's Rabbi Golub at jbstv.org. Rabbi Golub, one word, RABBIGOLUB at jbstv.org. And if any of you have thoughts that you'd like me to hear, or you want to share some of your thoughts with me, I would love you to email me. And you don't have to nobody has to email me. You don't do it if you don't want to. But it's an invitation to any of you who are watching. And again, I have no idea how many people are watching right now, and it doesn't matter. If there's 5 of you, if any other 5 of you want to be in touch with me, Aryeh is going to
people saying thank you already. We already have the comments. Thank you, and I'm sure, no doubt about it, many thousands of people will be watching it, and definitely be impressed by your leadership and your statement of uncompromising condemnation of destruction of property and lives, which really needed, and we didn't hear it from anyone but you at these difficult times.
I love you very much, Aryeh. You can call me anytime.
We need your voice to continue. Thank you.
I look forward to the next time then.
Thank you. All the best to you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.